Hi guys, so we're here with a new video, and this video will be a discussion video about one of the best brackets in the game right now, the most thriving one, the most populated one, the fastest queue times as well, and it is Battleground BLITZ or SoloQ RBG or BGB, however you want to call it. It is Battleground BLITZ. It has been a blast. It has been very fun. Even after work, even like in evenings, even like in mornings, the queue times are pretty respectable. Um, like right now, if I want to queue, it is 10:30 p.m., which is like late evening in EU, and we are on a Tuesday, and it's only 3 minute average wait time, and it's very fast whenever it queues. Like I played a lot of PGBs just today, just for footage. I'll show you some footage in this video probably. There are positives, there are negatives. One of the positives I have with BGB would be that it is very fast to queue, and also opens up Soul Shuffle to be faster to queue as well. Because you have way more DPSers actually getting sucked into SoloQ RBG, means that the queues are going to be faster for the people that are not in the games right now. If you're queuing for Soul Shuffle and SoloQ RBG and like 16 players are going to get sucked in SoloQ RBG because it got popped but it didn't pop for you, you do get like a faster queue pop for your Soul Shuffle games, because obviously the amount of players actually queuing for Soul Shuffle will be diminished. So it's a very good thing in general for PvP. Like, you are more likely to play PvP than to actually sit out queues. One of the negatives I see for BGB is that if you are playing on an alt or like a fresh character or a fresh spec, for example, if I go demonology warlock right now and I queue for BGB, the queue time for the first game is atrociously long because it actually wants you to pair you with other fresh MMRs. Like, if you're watching a game that is like a fresh spec in BGB, often you will also encounter multitude. I would say over the half of the lobby is actually also a fresh MMR spec or alt or class, which means that again they want to give an even footing for everyone, but that makes that the first queue time is very long, and it cannot get discouraging for a lot of people. So they could fix that by just saying, look, we are not going to look at the MMR at the start. It starts at 1500. It doesn't matter which CR you are. They could do that. I think one of the positives that I see also for SoloQ RBG is that healers are very meaningful and very impactful. It is with a double-edged sword where basically a DPSer cannot really solo a healer. It is just what it is. But that is actually kind of something that already existed like in like different expansions anyways. Like even in classic, if you're wanting to if you want a healer, as long as it has mana, it is like literally not going to be something that is going to happen, right? Except if you're like very bursting, you have gear and he doesn't. But in like War Within, obviously a healer is going to not lose a 1v1 because it is like balanced around threes, still in Soul Shuffle. So obviously, if your healer is not capable to heal a 1v1, how the hell would it actually be able to heal arenas or Soul Shuffle with dampening? Even without dampening, it would be very hard. So that's one thing that could be a positive, but also a negative, where they are obviously not going to nerf or buff based on BGB. It kind of should maybe be the case, but then again, they need to see how dampening works. Like for example, monks, like mistweaver monks, is like a big outlier. Like between the difference between a top performing spec in BGB and a top like least performing spec in Soul Shuffle. The difference between those two is very big. Like, it is really like multiple tiers of difference. So what do? Do you buff Mistweaver because it is kind of miserable in arenas or in Blitz, and arenas or in Soul Shuffle, or do you nerf Mistweaver because it is very good in BGB, but then you're nerfing something that is already very terrible in Soul Shuffle, right? So that's something like people are going to be having a difficult time to understand why a spec is not nerfed, because if you're doing that, you're going to nerf it in a state that is probably going to be terrible in social. They could easily do maybe a balancing per bracket. So if you're like going into BGB, the balancing of your spec is different than from social. That could be a solution. But then it becomes very much complex. Like your spec is not going to play the same or not feel the same as in 2s or in 3s or in social or in BGB or in open world PvP. It already is the case with dampening anyways. So it's very hard to justify that also for BGB as well. So that is an issue. I think one of the issues that I have with BGB, because there are positives, there are a lot of positives. I think being able to play whenever you can is the biggest positive I can find, because with social and Dragonflight, you could have like very big queue times, where I think right now the queue times are very fast, and there is no real inflation right now for social, for example. But for SoloQ RBG, you have sometimes, depending on the cases. Like for example, for me, I don't have any inflation. Like I have 1530 like CR. I think my MMR is like still, I don't even know what my MMR is, but I have 18 wins, 6 losses, which again, if you do math, it is 25%, like it's 75% win rate, right? 75% win rate on 24 games, and I still am 1530. So it's very difficult to like sometimes get motivated by that, because again, a loss means so much and a win means so little for some reason. Like I only did win streaks, and I'll lose very sporadically. I can also show you guys, because again, you don't need to believe me, you can just watch. So this is like, I don't even know, is this a BGB? This is like, I think my first game I lost. Then I did a 4 winning streak. I lost again on, no, I won, excuse me. I lost the first one. I won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 win streak, and then 1 loss, 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 win, 2 losses, 1 win, 1 loss, and now 4 wins in a row. And I cannot really understand how I'm actually not like gaining any rating, or very little rating, or just like I'm not shooting up, which I think if I did a 75% win ratio on 77 rounds played in social, I would be like literally a smurf. Like I would be like, I don't know, 1900 right now with the amount of rounds I have, or maybe even higher. But in SoloQ RBG, like I'm still 1530 for some reason. So sometimes people are like saying fallacies like it's a lose streak that made you like very low MMR CR, but like this doesn't make sense because I have 75% win rate, right? And yes, I think they could be like placement games for 25 games, but then that's kind of seems stupid. I think you should not have placement games like that, because literally this is going to hold you back anyways, right? With most things. And then you have like people on the ladder that has way less of a win rate than you, with maybe more games, that's true. And they are higher because of the more games, I believe. But still, it should be that if you're like literally because this is like really smurfing, right? It's 75% win rate on 24 games. Everyone would sign up with 2 hands, right? Yeah, it's like a very big win rate, and still you're not really climbing. So that should be maybe fixed, I don't know, or maybe clarified. Like they could say like, look, the 25 games, don't really look at your CR, and at that moment you're going to then climb. That could be the solution, but they're not really like transparent about that. So again, people are saying that there are placement games. Some people say that there are not any placement games, and it's like just about the amount of like games you're playing and the numbers game that it is. But that's my like the biggest complaint I have for BGB. And I'm going to show you a game. I don't know how I will do that, but I will show you a game. And this is a game where literally I think I don't remember. Was it like 3 unholy decays, or was it another game? I don't remember. I'm going to see. No, it's a Deep Gorge match. So there is a big discrepancy with the comps, and there's something that they could really fix by just doing an algorithm kind of thing. Because normally both teams have the same MMR. That's how it works, right? And yes, your individual MMR will likely depend and make your team stronger or worse. But it is normally it should not happen that you have 3 unholy DKs on one team and 0 unholy DKs on the other team. They could easily split at least one of them. Or for example, if you see two hunters on your team and then 2 rogues on the enemy team, it should actually give just one rogue to the other team, and you just keep one rogue, right? And you split them up. That should be something that is going to happen for BGB, so it is way more enjoyable to play. You don't need to have 4 or 5 rogues or MMs in your team to make it fair. I had one game where literally we had 5 hunters in one team and the enemy team had 0. And yes, it was 3 MMs, 1 BM, 1 survival, but it could easily, again, it's a DPS. A hunter is a hunter. You could easily give 2 hunters to the other team or 3 hunters to the other team, and would be way more fair. That should be happening for every single class in SPEC. If you're a healer, it's different, I would say, but 2 Fury Warriors, split them up. If you're seeing 2 DKs, split them up. It doesn't matter if it's a Frost DK and Holy DK, just split them up. If you're seeing 2 DPS evokers, like a Augmentation and a Devastation evoker, split them up. Those things should happen, and it's not you can pre-made and be duo queuing double DPS, because that is not possible. So that is not the issue. And if the issue is the healer DPS combo that is in your team, then you just put them on the other side of the battlefield and put them as an enemy. You could easily do something about that by just putting an algorithm. And yes, it will require work, but it would also give a lot more meaning, a lot more satisfaction towards your matches, because then you would feel okay, this is really balanced. The better team will win. But a team with, for example, I don't know, 2 rogues, and you only have 0, and you're playing Gilneas, for example, well, the 2 rogues are going to probably win the game if they're playing smart, right? If they're not playing smart, that's not an issue, but I would say equally skilled, you should win the game normally, because they can just defend your node without a problem, and the other rogue can actually overtake the other node if there is no stealth. So that is something that they need to change, and I think it's easier to change than the problem with the MMR. But yeah, those are the negatives I have. Positives, I think it is very fluid, it's very fun. You can really plan your day around Battleground Blitz. You don't need to say, look, I only have 1 hour to play, what am I going to play? Social is not going to pop, whatever. But right now it does. But also SoloQ RBG is something you can spam. You can literally play 3 or 4 SoloQ RBGs in 1 hour. And if you're a healer, it's direct, obviously. If you're duo queuing, it's also quite directly. But in general, if you're a DPS and your queue times are 3 minutes, your wait time is 2 minutes, and the game time is 10 or 12 minutes, you can realistically do 3, 4 SoloQ RBGs per hour, which again, it's way easier for anyone to plan your day around and plan your game time around. So that's something that you need to understand. That is a very big positive. I think in general the maps are cool. I think some maps should maybe have other rule sets or other changes to make it a bit more fair, especially some maps are way better for Alliance and Horde, and vice versa, and that should maybe be fixed. I think the 8 versus 8 is quite good. It's very good for also the healer differences between healer and DPS. So you could have a healer available to soul shuffle because of that. So yeah, I think in general I'm very satisfied about the bracket. I just think they need to work on it and make it better. And I think this is ridiculous to have 18 wins, 6 losses with the amount of win streak you have and still being stuck, literally stuck in 1530, which should not happen in general. So again, I think this video, I will be stopping it right now. 15 minutes is quite good. Because I wanted to say what I wanted to say about BGB. I think right now it's a huge success. I'm very satisfied about it. I did the test a lot on the PTR. I tested on the beta. I tested on Dragonflight as well whenever it was a brawl. And I think it has so much potential. It just needs a bit more help. They could even like make in-game tournaments by putting a tournaments tab. And I think that would be like one of the most satisfying things to do, like by queuing up and trying to win a tournament to get like good cosmetics or whatever. So that could be the future maybe, but in general I think if you're wanting to start PvP and you don't know where you can start, I think now BGB has been overtaking 2v2 for the most friendly brackets to learn how to rate it PvP. Before 2v2 has been the better one because it is way less chaotic. But you still need to find a healer though. Like double DPS is cool, but that is not really real PvP, except if you're like a rogue mage or like one of the specific comps that do work to double DPS. But if you're like a warrior or a fury warrior, it's actually tough to beat double DPS, and you will always need a healer to be able to have satisfying games. But now you can just queue SoloQ RBG and like learn that precious knowledge that is needed for PvP. So thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.